play Genshin frequently. I'm certainly not a lore expert. It's also worth pointing out that Genshin lore only gets more confusing and convoluted as time goes on, so that might factor in as well. I might get stuff wrong. You can feel free to correct me about anything in the comments, but I will do my best. Let me just start by saying that Genshin Impact is one of my favorite games. I know that there's a lot to be said about Genshin and that Genshin fans are kind of a meme. There's a lot of valid critiques to be thrown Genshin's way. For example, like many gacha games, they use a very predatory business model, and Hoyoverse makes millions of dollars off of FOMO and by fostering people's gambling addictions. And I would argue Genshin is actually worse than a lot of other Hoyo games too, because it's not as generous. From my understanding, other games...
I mean, the wish system is a lot different. Like, it's more difficult to get the characters in it. You need to collect a lot of primo gems and stuff, and Honkai gives you almost everything, but I haven't played it, so I just heard good about it.
From this company have made up for a lot of Genshin's greed by giving away more free characters and by making it easier to obtain materials to level them up. Meanwhile, Genshin refuses to adapt even after over 5 years of updates. The resin cap is still only at 200 with no resin overflow system, and the weapon and talent ascension materials are still only available for a few days each week, which is an outdated system that serves absolutely no purpose. But, despite all of those flaws, Genshin kind of stole my heart in the beginning. I had never played a game like this before, meaning a gacha game. I didn't know how the pity system worked. I did a 10 pull whenever I had fates.
Oh no. Well, I feel like all of us did that.
And I didn't save them at all because I wasn't keeping up with any upcoming banners or anything. And I would spend my primo gems equally on both Intertwined and Acquaint Fates because that seemed like the financially responsible thing to do. I shudder to think about it even now. But when I first started back in October of 2020 during Klee's first ever banner, none of that mattered because Genshin was pretty magical early on. Not only was it special because back then, you really didn't have to worry about power creep. You could pretty much build any character you wanted if you liked them.
Yeah, that's like, I don't know, it's like, it's a lot different now. But she's gonna get into that, so I feel like we don't have to explain, but new characters usually do not go along with other new characters that well. You need to actually have like, I don't know how much it really works, but I've seen that some characters, like, let's take Columbina for example, she can't really work well with Sandrone, so you need like Miko or something, like some of the old characters which might not be in the banner yet. I don't know, back then if you got like all of the characters, they could be more like going well with each other. I don't know. Also, I kind of skipped accidentally.
The music was, and still is, so gorgeous and immersive. Playing with headphones and just listening to the soundtrack while running around with your favorite characters was so lovely. There were little puzzles to solve and stories to tell, all backdropped by a beautiful landscape. The story told by the Archon quests was relatively simple, but the characters were interesting and so lovable that they gave the quests life in their own way. And then there were events like the first Lantern Rite and the first Wind Bloom. Don't get me wrong, I think there have been some really good Lantern Rites in recent years. The one featuring Gaming comes to mind, but I really don't think that the sheer innocent joy that came with these events early on will ever be matched in the future.
Okay, now we're getting to this side, I think. It's already 3 minutes in and she's already talking about how the new Genshin, what do you want to call it, like, is not gonna be as good as it was before. I do not agree. I do not agree with that at all. But yeah.
And plus I think that Genshin has kind of forgotten about Windbloom. But like, the cutscenes were so beautiful, getting to see what all of these characters in Linnea and Mondstadt were up to during these times of year. I mean, that cutscene of all the characters walking around Mondstadt together spawned so much shipping, and I was absolutely there for it, just like everybody else was. Following this, we had Inazuma, Sumeru, and Fontaine, again all beautiful nations with so much potential for exploration. They encouraged you to look in every nook and cranny. There's so much lore to be found that you might never see it all unless you peruse the Genshin wiki. One of my favorite examples of all of the records and notes you can find are about Ildodore, and they're scattered throughout Sumeru. Just discovering how immensely evil he was made me so excited to see what they would do with a villain like that in this story. And we will get to that. But even if the story occasionally got dull, and I know a lot of people struggled with Inazuma, believe me, I have problems with it too, I know I could always count on seeing a character I liked. When Inazuma was boring me to death in the middle, or when it was busy underdeveloped.
Wait, what? What do you mean it was boring you to death? It was like one of the most interesting Archon quests I've ever done, I think. Like, I feel like the first Mondstadt would be the one you would say it was boring you to death, because it was so simple. We had a lot in this one, and it was boring you to death. Okay, we all have opinions, but I think I found like this quest so like intimidating in a way. We are going to a locked up island which has no connections whatsoever to all the other nations. I found that super intriguing. I wanted to go there so bad, and that's why I finished Linnea so fast. And Raiden, I genuinely am scared of her, like, in a good way. Like, she's intimidating Archon, and wow, you calling this boring is just another level. This quest was so interesting to me, I could not stop playing. I had to, like, if I took a break, I was like, when am I gonna continue? I really want to play this again.
Developing Raiden A, I could at least maybe see Kazuha sometimes, who is still one of my favorite characters in the game to this day. A gacha game relies on its characters like almost no other type of game does. If you want people to pull for them, they have to appeal. And most of them did. They had beautiful designs and interesting personalities that sealed the deal. So yes, Genshin is one of my favorite games. But I'm also its biggest hater. And I know what you're gonna say.
Well,
you're just nostalgic. That's the only reason you think it was better.
you're just nostalgic. That's how it goes. Like, if you're saying that, like, it was better back then, you're just nostalgic. The new events can't be good. You're just nostalgic. You're stuck in the past, and wow, we're not even done with this
Back
yet.
then. But I have proof. I mean, why else would I make a whole video essay on an unestablished YouTube channel if I didn't have proof? So,
Alright.
was Genshin always this weird and bad? No, it wasn't. And let me tell you why.
Oh no. Where it all
So,
went wrong.
when we talk about bad Genshin, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, Natlan.
Oh no. Oh no. Okay. Here comes a part I personally do not have that much to say about, which is interesting because I really liked going in Natlan. Even though it was the worst Archon quest from all of them, it was still really entertaining. I liked it a lot, and I'm surprised I did. But this is a lot to hear from her perspective.
In case you're unfamiliar, Genshin bases its nations on real-world cultures in terms of visual inspiration, the names of the characters, and the nation's customs. Mondstadt is based largely.
Yeah, but like Mondstadt's also got like a lot of other European traits, not only German, but she did like say mostly. Liu's China, Inazuma's Japan, Sumeru, South Asia, Middle East, and I don't think Fontaine's also like fully France. I think it also's got like few other European traits. And then we've got Natlan with Mesoamerica, Sub-Saharan Africa, Oceania, and also like, I don't know, it's not like all of just a single country. It's got like a lot of traits, but yeah.
on Germany, Liyue on China, Inazuma on Japan, and so on. Natlan, similarly to Sumeru, is based on multiple real-world cultures, including Mesoamerican societies, Polynesian cultures, and the cultures of African peoples. It's hard to pin down what they were thinking when they picked out all of these places, each so different to represent just one nation.
But like, that's such a creative idea, like, especially when you, like, Natlan does the tribes, you know? They're all different in a way. Why not take different cultures to represent the tribes? If they're all same, that is boring. Whatever.
In the game. I'm certainly not the person to listen to on if this is bad representation, but I will say I do find it odd that the regions based on parts of the world where historically many black and brown people have lived are a mishmash of many different cultures, and that the characters...
Yeah, I get that. Actually, I have to agree with her on this one a lot, because genuinely, that was one of the things which actually ended up surprising me, that I barely saw any black people in the game at all. But there are also, like, a lot of people with pale skin complexions in those type of countries, so I don't think it's all have to be, like, you know, black skin, but I wanted to see more of that, definitely. It would have been nice to see more, like, that type of characters, but also people with fair complexion also live in those places, so what to say?
are whitewashed versions of these people. It just gives me pause, to say the least. For many other reasons too, Natlan was understandably poorly received by fans, at least in the United States. I'm not really sure how other parts of the world reacted to it. It's easy to see why though, because it's the same reasons that I didn't like Natlan. The landscapes are fine, but aesthetically a lot of
I didn't like Natlan. The landscapes were fine. You can't just say that, okay? Like, if you were going to say you didn't like it, where you're saying, like, the landscapes were fine, like, I don't know, it's just, like, a weird thing to say, I feel like. I don't know. I want to just know why she didn't like Natlan. Like, was it only the lore she didn't like, or the characters, or the skin tone issue, or, like, we're getting into that, and I've seen this video a lot of times, but I don't know, I still forgot.
Natlan doesn't mesh well with existing aesthetics of the game, and one of the major problems people had was the character's access to modern technology and concepts like motorcycles, flying guns, rollerblades, and DJ sets. I'm not even necessarily mad at the idea of having more modern tech in Natlan, but the problems lie more in the execution. First, Natlan made a point to set up an aesthetic style for Natlanese technology, like that within the ancient Sacred Mountain area, but then they only used it in that area.
Well, yeah, like, why would you use it somewhere else if it's, like, ancient? Like, oh, okay.
Maoika's motorcycle or Shilonen's DJ set looked anything like this, and not like sleek, modern variations of those objects, maybe they wouldn't have felt so out of place.
Yeah, but the dragons built the old tech. Natlan also kind of like Inazuma in a way. They hadn't got, like, any connection to the other nations, so they had to survive with what they got, so they had the access to technology, so that was what they did a lot. And of course it looks modern, because, like, why would they stay on the past technology? They had a lot of years to develop, and also the dragons once again built the old tech, so I don't think they'd be able to do the same.
And another problem with the tech is that no one else in Natlan, other than the playable characters, use it at all.
Kinich doesn't have technology, but yeah. So Shilonen is friends with the playable characters. And yeah, sure, she can be friends with others, but she's built almost all of the tech to the characters we know, like Kachina, Mavuika, and well, you know, like she's the one who does all of these. It's one of her jobs to build these things, and of course she wants to be generous to her friends. And yeah, sure, it would have been nice to see more people use this tech, but I don't think she's played the Archon quest, because then she wouldn't say these things, because she'd know that they are related and friends. But
you don't see any other not Linnese people rollerblading or driving vehicles. They probably wouldn't feel so out of place if other people in the 6 tribes had access to this stuff. There is perhaps no location in Natlan that is so out of place as the Easy Breeze Holiday Resort. I did love the lore that this location provided for Bennett, but everything else about it is so ass, dude. It genuinely feels like a different game to walk around this resort. There's a huge slide in the shape of a cold.
Sorry, I just keep on pausing, but there's a lot of things I need to say. It does look like Natlanese. First of all, we got the Soar kind of looking like from the Natlan, you know, like that species made built over there as part of the resort. Then we've got like all of these bright colors. If you see this, what nation comes to mind? Liyue? No, that looks like Natlan. Like, yeah, sure, you don't have to like it, but it's so it's so easy to see.
Losaurus, a dark ride a la Disneyland, a field that looks like a fucking Wii Sports golf course, and like a music festival area with a dance-off stage. I cannot stress enough how immersion breaking it is to explore this area. Have there been silly summer-themed areas in the past? Yes, but none of them have ever had an aesthetic on par with this one. I mean, the Golden Apple Archipelago just looks like it was taken straight out of Mondstadt or Liyue in terms of design, while still looking very fantastical, with impossible landscapes that could only be created by a mage of incredible power like Alice. Unfortunately, the visual aspects aren't Natlan's only faults. I and many others also found the lore and quest of this region to be pretty lacking too. We'll start with the basics. Each nation in Teyvat has a divine ideal that is represented by the Archon. So far, we've been introduced to 6 ideals of 7: freedom, contracts, eternity, wisdom, justice, and war. Most of these, at least to me, represent a good idea of what a divine ideal should be, something that a god is supposed to uphold in their nation. Sometimes upholding the ideal leads to conflict in the region. For example, in her upholding of eternity, Raiden Shogun sealed her borders and stole the ability to use elemental magic from her people, all for the sake of keeping Inazuma the same for all time. At the same time, Raiden herself represents the concept of eternity. She locks herself away to practice hundreds of years of meditation and uses undying puppets of herself to exact her will on the people of her nation. It's honestly very upsetting the way that they rushed through her arc so much, because I think she would have made for such a compelling character otherwise. Now think about Mavuika in the same way, with regards to her divine ideal, which is war. How does she represent war? Well, she's fighting a war against the Abyss, like everybody else in Teyvat. Yeah, maybe they have it worse than other nations, but still, what happens when the war ends? Which it does at the end of the Archon quest. It's not like Mavuika is some battle-crazed maniac. At most, she's just kind of thoughtless and reckless in her act.
Wait, we need to pause this right here. Sorry, there was like a long pause I had to take here, only. There's no way you just said that she's thoughtless. No, she's not. What do you mean? Literally all the people she didn't even know. She risked her family to become the Archon she is now, and left her sister and her parents to die as mortals, to choose to live as an Archon. You can't say that she's thoughtless. I genuinely don't think she's done the Archon quest. I think she was like, Natlan is boring, no one wants it, and like, I don't like the tech, so you know, might as well skip it now. I'm not a lore expert, we can tell.
Do you see how war doesn't really work as a divine ideal, and least of all with Mawika as its representative? Also, it's a nation of war made up of 6 different factions, and yet there's absolutely no conflict between them.
They don't need one. They can reunite and fight against something else, like they are doing. The Abyss is the enemy. They all fear it. They all don't want it. They want to get rid of it. If there would be conflict between them, that would be even more insane. I would really hate that it would have turned that way. No. Anything she makes a point of doesn't make any sense. Like, let's just say, if there was any conflict between all of these, you know, you see, what would that make Mawika? She's the god of war. She's just watching them have a war? What? It's just annoying.
It really just doesn't make any sense. This is why I personally always thought it would be cool if the Pyro Archon was a villain to her people. Maybe she makes them fight each other.
No. No, she'd be worse than A. No. I'm sorry, but no. I don't even have a point to say to this, but just, no, that's evil. Like, she can be the god of war. Even without this, like, that would be so sadistic to just be like, I'm entertained to see the people of my nation to go against the war. People die, but so what? I'm the god of war. No, that's so like, that's not Mawika. And she would need to be an entirely different looking Archon because what she is now wouldn't match that vibe at all. And also just, what would be the story of Natlan if the nations were just going against the war with each other? The tribes, sorry. If the tribes were going against the war with each other, what would that make of the story? Nothing. It would be messier than it is now. And you would not like it, I'm telling you. You would not like seeing them just fight 24/7 and Mawika be like, alright, come again. Let's see the fight in the gladiator style on the arena. That would be so like, I don't know, Hoyo would never do that, and like that would be so
Her style for her own entertainment. And then maybe we would have a better rebellion storyline than Inazuma with an Archon that's completely irredeemable, because we certainly know that the Cryo Archon is gonna get redeemed in some way if she's
pardon me? Irredeemable? Raiden wasn't even Archon, she was puppet made by A.
ever going to become playable. We will also touch on that in a later section in more detail. Instead, in Mawika, we have an Archon who is a Mary Sue. Ironic when—
No, do not use that term. I genuinely can't. Oh no. She's not a Mary Sue, bro. She's not. And you just already called her irresponsible and thoughtless, and then you're gonna be like, will you have an Archon who's a Mary Sue? Did you remember what you said a few moments ago? We have an Archon who's thoughtless and irresponsible. Yeah, okay, maybe you should choose better words. What do you mean, like, Mary Sue, after what you just said?
she's the only Archon who is actually a human and would likely have the most flaws out of any of them. The thing is, Mawika is very—
Because she is a human. Go to her story. You know that she is a human. It's literally told when you get to Natlan. Kachina tells you that their Archon is a human because that gets decided, like, I don't remember when, but like It's been so long when I did not learn my macaronis, bro. I genuinely don't remember right now, but like she is a human who chose to be an Archon and sacrificed her mortal life and her parents and her sister because she wanted to save people she didn't even know from the future. Like, that is not thoughtless. And also, she is a human. The other Archons aren't, so the story is always there. You can go and do the story. Maybe then you could explain this better. Also, I genuinely forgot almost all Natlan's lore because I've gone through it so fast, but I still remember like a lot, and it was a peak story though. Even though it wasn't as good as the others, but I still liked it a lot.
Flawed. She is extremely irresponsible and brash, even when it will put the lives of her entire nation at stake. Her nation is at war with the Abyss, and she's like, well, best thing I can do for you guys now is go to sleep for
Well, yeah. But like, even in this, it says that like this ambitious plan came at a great personal cost. 500 years ago, she sacrificed her life in the sacred flame to be reborn in the present day with the sole purpose of realizing her vision. And there we go. Mavuika is known for her willingness to really quench anything dear to her. She's not irresponsible. Did you even read this?
500 years and hope and pray that the heroes I need will appear to me when I need them.
Oh my gosh. Get rid of this AI slop.
Appear to me when I need them. What? That is crazy of you! And yet the game tries to make me feel bad for her for doing this. The game, instead of pointing out how terrible and risky this plan is,
She knows. She knows how risky and terrible this plan is, but she has to do it. She has to do it. She cares for the people she hasn't even met yet. Oh, it's alright. We're already like 11 minutes and I wanna already get this off.
just focuses on the fact that Mawika had to say goodbye to her family in order to put this plan into action. Dog, I do not care.
I do
The
not care about
writing
you either.
doesn't focus at all on what's important here. It just makes her out to be the perfect Archon who's good at everything and refuses to fail. There were no memorable parts of that quest for me, except for maybe
Yeah, because you didn't do it.
the final battle. And it's not even like the characters here can make up for this nation's incredibly boring and stupid story. For me, all of them were so nothing.
Alright, okay, it's fine. We do not care. You didn't like the characters. You can just say that. You don't need to explain all this in great detail and explore how much you really didn't read the lore or do the stories.
It boggles my mind that so many of y'all are shipping these MFs together when they barely have interesting relationships with each other.
Excuse me? Kinish and like what was her name, bro? I keep on forgetting. Like the girl with the shark. Why don't I remember her name right now? But like they had a lot and I really liked them and I might actually ship them too. Why can't I remember her name? Yeah, I really don't. I'm so bad at this. Mualani, yeah. There we go. Kinage and Mualani had a lot together and I really liked them too. So, also Mualani doesn't even have technology. I don't know, what characters did she say? Kachina, Shilonen, Mabuika? Alright, they're the only ones I think who have technology. But yeah, she hasn't gone through the story because even if, like, even at the start and like when we're preparing Kachina to be part of the, like tribe, in effect, she and Mualani have these sisterly bonding moments and I absolutely loved them. And her saying that they have no good relationships with each other is just absolutely insane.
At all. I feel like all of their personalities could be explained in one word. Mualani is bubbly. Kinich is standoffish. Kachina is insecure. Veresa, she eats a lot. Oh, and Mawika. What can be said that I haven't already touched on? She's good at everything. She's the perfect Archon, and even her reckless plan for saving her nation isn't questioned by anyone that matters or treated by the game as risky at all, even though it is.
Wait, what? Isn't treated as risky at all? It is. She literally knows that. I can also explain your personality in one thing. Judgmental. You don't even know the stories. You literally said that yourself at the start of the video. I'm no lore expert, we know. I genuinely get so mad over this video. Yeah, sure, I feel like you can do that to every character, explaining their personalities in one thing. Like, genuinely, it's not just the Natlanese characters, but she's trying to just make more reasons why she hates them.
And in the end, she just defeats the Abyss with the power of friendship. It reminds me of that TikTok where they had the cutscene with all the heroes side by side.
Well, I think that, like, all the nations so far have been defeated by power of friendship. Literally, even from Mondstadt, we needed a team to defeat Wallin, even though we did that. And in Liyue, it was also implied quite a lot. We were on top of the Jade Chamber, and all the Adepti, and Ningguang, Getching, Ganyu, all of our friends also helped us defeat the... what was the monster in the water? You know, anyway. And in Azuma, that was implied quite a lot too. We couldn't defeat A, so we had to get the people who finally claimed their visions back, and they literally... we had this interaction where, like, they answered us in, like, mind or something, and we gained the power of all their visions and defeated A. And in Sumeru, like, we also had to get friend group to defeat the enemy. And it's even continued to not cry, but she's not talking about that yet. In every single nation we had to get friends, because the Traveler, even though they were strong, they needed to get friends. That's been part of the game for so long, and genuinely, why not? Like, I know it's kind of cliche in Natland because it's shown more than the other nations. And yeah, it does remind me of that scene, but what is there to be ashamed of? Friendship is really amazing and important for humans, and she's just making more reasons why she dislikes Natland.
With the clip from My Little Pony Equestria Girls. The writers go out of their way to make Mawika seem like the coolest person ever, when in reality she has, like, no personality. Like, can we talk about how her trailer was just this cringe-ass music video?
I love the song, but yeah, the trailer is pretty pretty cringe.
Where all of the nation heroes are playing instruments in a band. Oh my god. It's, like, literally unbearable to watch. And it's not like any of the other characters do anything to move the plot forward. This region doesn't even know how to treat its lore-relevant characters as such. Auroran and Yansan are the Natlan heroes from the Masters of the Nightwind and the Collective of Plenty, respectively, but I guess they're not important enough to be the focuses of the Tribal Chronicles. Instead, those honors are given...
Do I even have to mention that Auroran literally is allianced with Capitano, and he's huge? Focus on the story. He literally sacrificed himself for Mawika not having to do that. Maybe we can all just ignore that, you know?
Citlali and Veresa, the latter of which we hadn't even met.
Citlali is important to the story. But yeah, I get it with Veresa.
During the Natlan Archon quest. She was literally invented just to take Yansan's place.
No.
I wonder why that is. In any case, most of the important actions are driven by Mawika and the Traveler, so...
Well, of course. In every single quest, in every single Archon quest you possibly did, we've had the Traveler and the Archon mostly, except in Inazuma. Nahida and the Traveler. In Liyue, well, we didn't have the Archon's help mostly, at least to show this way, but friends. And in Notchcry too, even though Columbina's not an Archon, but still, the Traveler is a huge part of the story. Of course, they're there.
None of these characters feel important at all. They're just accessories to, again, the power of friendship storyline.
Because Mavrika's the Archon, Venti's the Archon, Zhongli is the Archon, Raiden A is the Archon. Oh.
But like I said, that obviously doesn't work unless these characters feel like they have meaningful relationships with each other, which they don't. Needless to say, I did not pull for any of the Natlan characters, even though their combat mechanics are in the meta right behind lunar reactions. The only one I really wanted, and only just recently got on Inefa's rerun, was the 4-star character Aoife, and that's mostly because he's a gorgeous cowboy. On the topic of Natlan characters being in the
Alright. It's kind of funny to see her personality change in a while. Like, you know, she's just talking about him, like, literally differently than the other characters so far. He's a gorgeous cowboy. Girl, no one cares you didn't pull for any of the other characters. You're just gonna want us hate them or something. That doesn't work on me. I absolutely love all of them, even though they're not my favorites. Let's just watch this.
Natlan is also when the shill started getting really bad. Soon enough, the Abyss and other endgame modes were tailor-made for Night Soul mechanics, with some bosses that are nearly impossible to beat without Natlan characters in the team. It just started a trend that only gets worse with time, one that leads us directly into...
Oh no! Not cry, Columbina, the Genshin willing problem. I am going so mad, probably, and I really can't help it because it's gonna be so bad. I've watched this so many times and I'm really scared about my reaction to this, like, now, genuinely.
It's hard to forget how hyped people were when the first trailer for the new area of Teyvat, Nodcry, was released. Nodcry is a sub-nation of Snezhnaya, the last of the 7 nations we are supposed to visit in our search for our lost twin, so naturally the lore is getting pretty intense here. But the reaction to seeing so many lore-relevant characters in one trailer was immense. We got first glimpses of 2 members of the Hexen Circle, Alice and Nicole, the Grand Master of the Knights of Favonius, Varka, who we'd only heard about in passing until this point, and 2 Fatui Harbingers that hadn't appeared on screen before, Sandrone and Columbina. Every look we got was very fleeting, and it was hard to glean any info from this trailer alone, but people were still so excited. Imagine what Nodcry has in store if there's so many important characters here, ones that we've only heard whispers about prior. Well, Nodcry is better than Natlan by a long shot, but would you hate me if I said that this also disappointed me? Don't get me wrong,
You've got own opinions. I don't want to be one of those people who are like, you should have liked it. No, it's fine. You can dislike anything you want. I do not care. I care how you, like, say things about the characters, so let's just get through that.
In a lot of ways was kind of a positive return to form for Genshin. First of all, these characters actually feel like they know each other past, tee-hee, we're all best buddies.
Oh, I cringe a little in that. You didn't play Natlan, did you? That's all I'm gonna say, because they did have good relationships with each other. How else would have they defeated the Abyss? You know,
Aino and Inefa are so sweet. Varka and Flynn's are hilarious together. And Nefer and Lauma have some of the craziest Yuri subtext since Beidou and Ningguang. These characters feel more real as a result of their relationships with each other. I could enumerate more about them based on how they interact with others. Crazy, right? It made for a more interesting quest, too, one that I could more easily become invested in. Nodcry did a lot of stuff right. But the true problem with the region unfortunately falls on the back of one character for me. One that was so highly anticipated, not just by me, but by so many people in this fandom. But she delivered so little. Columbina. I know, there's a lot of Columbina lovers out there, but I'm sorry. There are so many reasons I cannot stand this woman. And part of it is because she's a complete disappointment. You might be familiar with the way that people thought Columbina was going to be a creepy character. Maybe
she was never confirmed to be a creepy character. That's what the fandom thought she was going to be, but she actually never was. I can't. It's fine.
Leaning into the biblically accurate angel aesthetic. There was a super popular theory that Columbina was a member of the canonical angel race, so this would make sense in a way. This creepy aesthetic for Columbina was also explored in
I love that animation, but it was fanon. It was fan-made. It wasn't canon.
Beautiful animation for Hoyo Fair called Stairway to Heaven by Kieru.
I love that.
The
so
imagery
much.
is so spooky, and it uses like analog horror elements. And if you haven't seen it, you should watch it after this. Oh my god, it's amazing. And this assumption that Columbina would be scary was not for nothing. People are always like, you just had an image in your head of what you wanted Columbina to be, and now you're disappointed that it didn't happen. And even if that is partially why people are disappointed, there is still in-game evidence and evidence in lore-relevant YouTube videos to support what people thought about her. Let's go over some, shall we?
Yeah, please.
1. Columbina's appearance. Let's go over what we knew she looked like from our first look at her, the Winter Nights Lotso trailer. First, she has black and dark pink hair, colors that do not suggest something delicate or gentle. However, these dark colors are
again, yeah, but like there are a lot of characters with magenta and black hair. Like it doesn't have to mean that, you know,
paired with Columbina's winged headdress made of white feathers like dove wings. Not only
specifically dove wings. You didn't say angel.
does this mirror her name, Columbina, which means little dove, it also bears the appearance of a seraph, a type of angel in Christian theology. Seraphs typically have 3 pairs of wings and have the role of singing the praises of their god. Considering Columbina was a Fatui harbinger, maybe the praises that she was singing were for the Tsaritsa. Columbina is also clearly wearing a black and pink outfit under her Fatui coat, something that they very evidently dropped in her final design. Finally, Columbina has her eyes covered, suggesting maybe an unfeeling or uncaring personality, or maybe some mysterious power that lies behind her eyes. 2. Columbina's actions. In the trailer, she is singing a soft lullaby, smiling gently while laying along the coffin of her recently deceased fellow harbinger. I don't care what anyone says, that's creepy.
Yeah, but we learn about her later on that she sings for people she cares about and doesn't mean anything bad with that. She literally sang outside Sandrone's door in her trailer. Sandrone's trailer, and she does that to her friends.
It shows that she kind of has this detached attitude regarding death, especially of her own colleague. 3. What other characters say about her.
No, don't.
Child's voice line about his fellow harbinger points the most.
Having child as evidence is insane. Okay, so the voice lines, again, I don't remember them fully, but they do not imply anything to her creepy character, what she was going to be. So let's hear them.
To a scary character in Columbina.
The Fatui Harbingers are ranked by strength, and I have no idea why that girl is number 3. I'd test my skills with every Harbinger who ranks above me if I had the chance. But when it comes to her, something just doesn't feel right. Anyway, you should be careful around her.
Even Child sounded scared to challenge.
Yeah, because he didn't know anything about Columbina. He challenged almost all the Harbingers because he knew something about them. Columbina barely said anything and was quiet, and Bully didn't want to fight with Child. He didn't know her power because he had never fought with her. And of course she's ranked high. He would be a bit scared because he is not near anywhere where she is. The rankings also would be the reason why he said that, but also the fact he hasn't fought with her.
Her to a battle, and he loves fighting with strong opponents. Scaramouche also suggests staying away from her and implies that she is not as innocent as she seems.
Let me ask. What should you do if you were to encounter a damsel who is oblivious and innocent at any given time, and unconcerned and unfeeling in any given situation? If it were me, I could at least challenge her to a fight. But if it were you, with your conscience, I would stay away from her.
The way that I've
because
seen
you
people
didn't know
defend
then.
this is by saying that Child and Scaramouche are bad at reading people, and they didn't know her that well, so of course their assumption.
Yes, that's genuinely the thing. They don't know her. Like, that doesn't imply to anything about her being the creepy Fanonbina she was meant to be.
Would be wrong. They just knew that she was powerful. Dude,
Yeah.
you are not getting at the reason why these voice lines are put in the game. Yes, they are useful for showing the relationships between characters and what characters think about each other, but they should also be used to provide hints and information about characters that we haven't met yet. If you put in a voice line about Columbina not being what she seems, then people are going to listen to that and assume that she's not what she seems, and there's
No one's gonna do that. Like, they didn't know her. So, it's just fair we learn more about her when Not Cry is out, you know? And there can be both assumptions. We don't need to, like, how do I say this? Like, we can assume that she's creepy or that she's not. Like, that's just, like, what you thought that she was going to be, and we hadn't met her back then yet, so even if that voice line was misleading, we'd still learn to know that she's a delicate, nice, and kind character at the end.
nothing wrong with that. I think people just aren't willing to admit that Genshin has bad and inconsistent writing sometimes. Fourth,
Sometimes.
her rank. Columbina was long known to be the third Harbinger. It's also been known for a long time that the closer they are to number 1 in the rankings, the more powerful they are. Columbina being number 3, especially right below Dottore, who is notably unhinged and evil, suggests that she is not only similarly powerful, but also similarly devoted to her work as part of a major villain faction. I cannot stress this enough. Clearly, there is a wealth of evidence to support the theories that people had about Columbina. I'm tired of people pretending that it wasn't there, and I'm tired of people pretending that it wouldn't have worked tonally. There is literally a
It would have worked. It would have worked. But Hoya didn't do it, so what?
villain who does human experimentation. There was literally a genocide in Conria. But no.
Yeah.
Instead, we learn that Columbina is actually a moon goddess.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Okay, sure. But also, she's actually just a damsel in distress. Like her.
Wait, no! What do you mean? No, she's not! Did she do Not Cry? Yeah, I think, but like...
name suggests. She's timid and soft-spoken and gentle, and she's shy at first, but eventually opens up to you, and you are the most special person in her life, even though you've known her for maybe 2 weeks.
Yeah, but like... she is shy because she doesn't... She's like... Go to the story. She was the moon goddess. She is the moon goddess. But also people in Not Cry just wanted her to answer their prayers. She was tired of that, you know? She was tired. She wanted to like isolate herself, to be by herself. And when someone finally gave her the chance to be something else she's not, Of course she wanted to, like, trust you and was shy at first and, like, wanted to then open up to you. That's what friends do. Have you ever had a friend like, bro, what? No.
I cannot stand how willfully obtuse people will be about Columbina, pretending not to see the fan service that is sitting right in front of.
Oh no, the lollipop scene. Is that the only thing you're talking about? Because fan service? She doesn't even have those type of clothes. Yeah, sure. The short skirt, we're gonna get onto that as well later. I've seen this video, I know it. But fan service on Columbina? Okay.
Them. She hides behind the traveler when she doesn't know how to talk to people. Aw, she likes to eat snacks. Aw.
What's wrong liking to eat snacks? I like to eat snacks. I guess I'm fan servicey now. Bro, pardon me, not girl having to eat her snacks. We can't eat snacks. That's mean.
Aw, you get to feed her during moon prayer night while the English VA is moaning into the mic every 2 seconds.
Stop, please. Stop. Emilo did amazing job voicing Columbina. But yeah, the moaning was quite a lot. But she had to do it. She was told to do it. You can't just go on to say, yeah, sure, the feeding was a lot, but she just wanted to take a little nibble on your lollipop. Like, feeding your friend isn't normal. I don't know. I genuinely can't listen to this part of her, like, review. It's so cringy.
Aww, she's so weak. She can't do anything by herself and
The boss battle at the end. Who killed Totore? Who killed the guy you absolutely have been talking only great things about in this video? She did. I genuinely think she's just mad that he died because of her, and she's gonna talk, like, bad about her because of that. She can do things by herself. She genuinely turned invisible because she didn't want Dottore to claim the full Trilone authority. That's why he became invisible. She literally went to the abyss, bro. And she there talked to the former 3 moon goddesses, Aria, Sonnet, and what was the other one's name, dude? Aria, Sonnet. I don't remember, but like she talked to all of them, and by that gained their trust. She go out there by herself. Do the
probably
story.
would have died if the traveler hadn't rescued her. Aww. People like to pretend that it's somehow misogynistic to point this out. Again, purposefully ignoring that Hoyo is writing her this.
She would have, yeah, but we've also helped a lot of people in the Archon quests. Like, Nahida would have probably faced similar fate. She was also, like, hated by the people who were supposed to be the ones who admired their Archon. She genuinely, like, barely appeared anywhere, and we were the ones she trusted immediately. Why aren't you talking bad about Sumeru? And the same goes for Natlan, except Kachina wasn't really a god or anything. But like, we also had to save her. We don't have that much, like, you know, like the thing we have with the Abyss. It doesn't really affect us in a way. So of course we had to, like, save our friends. Wouldn't you do that if your friend was in a situation like that? It's impossible to get, but like, anyway.
This way, intentionally. Guys, I kid you not, she literally turns invisible for a significant portion of the.
Can't contribute the plot as a result? Yeah, but it is a plot. Like, it does. Like, she had to do that. Dottore would have otherwise like had her on like his claws already. She just did what she could to escape.
Our conquest. I promise you, that is not feminist. And it's
What?
not even like the
Why is that? What? What do you mean by that? That is such a weird thing to say. That is not feminist? Excuse me, what?
She literally turns invisible for a significant portion of the Archon quest. I promise you, that is not feminist. And it's not even like the moon goddess thing makes any sense. They
Oh yeah, Canon. Canon was her name.
even
Oh.
come up with some last-minute reason why she covers her eyes. There was a time when I refused to look upon the world. I believed it was full of nothing but lies and falsehoods.
Yeah, but like, that is a good reason. The people were greedy. They only wanted her as the goddess. They never gave her a chance. The same for the Frost Moon Scions, mostly. And you're genuinely like this now. You're genuinely like the Frost Moon Scions. I only wanted the creepy Columbina, not what she is now. She's now just some creepy waifu page for the traveler. No, like, that's such a good reason they actually gave her, because I would do that too if I was in her place. Why would I want to look at the people who never wanted me as I am, only wanted the side of me which I am just like a moon goddess or something? Like, that's such a good reason to put there. She just wants the old Genshin.
I wish to hide my feelings, seal my heart, until I could return to my true home. Oh
No.
my god. If this is what they originally planned to do with her, which it wasn't, then she was a
How do you know? How do you know? Are you part of the Genshin community, the Hoyoverse, you know? Were you making Columbina? How do you know? How do you know?
goddamn waste of a Harbinger slot. It is
No, you're not, Columbina. You're perfect the way you are, girly. You captured my heart as you are. I love the creepy Columbina we saw, but you were never meant to be that way, because even if you were, by her saying, you're perfect the way you are already. I kid you not, I literally almost wanted to just draw me comforting all the characters she's already making fun of and judging. And I did that.
so clear to me that she was never their original intention for the moon goddess. Her
How do you
design
know?
suffers so bad as a result of Hoyo's ineptitude. I mean, look at these
Alright,
colors. They don't go together.
They do. If her hair was pale, it wouldn't have constructed too much. Look at that. You can see all what the hair looks like, the length of the hair. If it would have been different color, it might have blended in with the color of her clothes. And yeah, sure, I hate how short the skirt clothes are. It's my least. It's genuinely the only thing I don't like about her design.
At all. Oh my god, she's so beautiful. No, she's not. Her
She is. She's beautiful. What do you mean? What do you mean? She is beautiful. Because character didn't turn the way you want it, you can't just say that she's ugly. I know she doesn't have feelings because she's a fictional character, but she is gorgeous. Don't say that about my
design
queen.
is two different designs smashed together. In fact, these colors only look okay together when they purposefully give the outfit more purple tones, which they could have just as easily done in the game model, but they didn't. Even her
Terrifying art, by the way. What do you mean that's terrifying? It's all okay. Whew.
constellation is a mishmash of her Fatui aesthetic.
What do you mean? Constellation name is literally Little Dove Beneath the Moon. Give me a break. Because that's what she is. Also, that dove is like the shape of the heart, and it's genuinely near her chest. I like that idea. That's such a good concept. What would you have wanted? Oh, give me a break.
And her goddess aesthetic. We have both the traditional portrait shape that all the other gods in the game get, and also her symbol of the crying dove, just
Yeah.
shoved right in at the bottom. I completely believe the idea that Nodcry, or that this character at least, was rewritten at some point because there is no indication that they had any semblance of a plan for such a highly anticipated character. And the most frustrating part about all of this to me is that Hoyo actually leans into several of the things that people thought about Columbina, but only enough that it feels like they're teasing and laughing in the face of their fans, as if we read into it too much or something. In her burst, she grows wings like an angel, and these wings...
Or a dove! Or a dove! You literally mentioned that the wing ornaments on her hair are like dove wings, and now you're saying she grows wings like an angel. Dove wings?
bear resemblance to a Seelie court, both echoing the theory that she is an angel. But she's not an angel. In her character trailer, she performs a ballet, which calls to mind for me the very popular fan design in which she was a ballerina, something that the ribbons on her hands and feet might suggest. And it kills me because this trailer is beautiful.
It is.
The visuals and the choreography are gorgeous. The symbolism of Dottore as the pianist who's controlling the dance by playing the music.
It's amazing, but the fact how fast she just goes back when she's talking about Dottore. She doesn't say anything nice about Columbina. Like, how does she dance, or how did she lean in this one photo when someone held her? She doesn't say anything about that, but she's like, when Totoro's playing piano, oh, so good. Look at my hubby playing the piano. Alright, we get it. You like him, you hate her, we are fine,
Oh
right?
my god, I love it. But it would be even better if she was a dancer or a ballerina of some kind, because she isn't.
Odete. She's coming, Odete. Okay, we're getting a ballerina character, but she was never meant to be one. Like, that also fits her vibe.
Even though that would have made a lot of sense thematically with her singing. Perhaps the strangest example of Hoyoverse leaning into the theories about Columbina is that they have the singer Aurora wearing a dress with eyes on it during the welcome.
Yeah, but that's like one of her dresses. Like, she usually uses us also, like, I think. But yeah, it's kind of misleading if you ask me.
Moon concert, which suggests the biblically accurate angel thing. Maybe I'm reading too much into this last one especially, but I cannot take it. It is so frustrating because they are so close. But no, Genshin is allergic to having playable characters who are morally gray or irredeemable. This leads to what I lovingly refer to as the Genshin villain problem. Other popular gacha games, like Cookie Run Kingdom, literally
no, are you taking this as first, for example? They're genuine cookies, bro. As someone who went to Genshin from Cookie Run Kingdom, which is actually kind of funny because it usually goes the other way, but I'm pretty new in Genshin, but I still play all the lore, unlike her. So taking Cookie Run, for example, is just insane to me.
Have morally reprehensible or canonically dead characters that are playable. What is stopping Genshin from making their villains stay villains, but also become playable?
I mean, I get that, but like, she just wants Dottore to be a playable character, like, don't we all? But like, it doesn't always need to be that way. Like, La Signora isn't playable, and Capitano either. At least from what we know now. They don't need to be playable.
Columbina is just an embodiment of a bigger problem in Genshin. They do not want to have any characters who have questionable morals become playable. Most of the time, this ends up going in two ways. The first is that the character is redeemed and then becomes friends with the Traveler before becoming playable. This is what has happened to every playable Harbinger thus far. Tartaglia fights anything that moves, but he respects the Traveler even though they have different motives and values. He only ever wants a friendly spar with them. Scaramouche has no one else who understands his past and is connected with the Traveler in that way. Arlecchino is a ruthless woman who is grooming children to be a part of the Fatui, but it turns out that the House of the Hearth is a lot less sinister under her rule, so that's okay too, I guess. And Columbina?
This battle was never about fate. It's about friends, family, and the home you
This is the
stole
most
from them.
obnoxious thing I've ever experienced in my life.
Loki, that was kind of cringe, that line, but I still really liked it. It's so funny, but like, that's a valid thing to say. I don't know.
The second way it goes is that the character cannot be redeemed and is therefore killed off.
Meanwhile, we have Sandrone. I know she didn't talk about that, for example, but she is dead, but then became playable because they built her again. And I also have to say this about Raiden, because she genuinely didn't take that as an example, but A is the actual Archon, Raiden is just a puppet, and Raiden is the only playable character. They didn't make the Archon playable.
So that they won't become playable. This is what happened to Signora way back in Inazuma, and most recently it happened to Dottore. This was honestly shocking to me, especially considering how much of a fan favorite Dottore is.
Or your favorite.
Let me be clear, Dottore is a horrible person, and he should not be redeemed. We should be able to understand his motives without forgiving him for what he has done. He has imposed so much pain on so many people in the game, and his morals are extremely corrupt, but he's still very, very interesting, and you can sometimes almost understand where he's coming from while still not condoning his methods, which I must stress is what makes a well-written villain. People love this guy's character, but now he can never become playable because as of right now, he's dead. Little did you know, though, that there is a secret third option, which is what they did to Capitano, a combo of options 1 and 2. They redeemed him and then still killed him off anyway.
Yeah, because that had to be part of the plot. Otherwise, Mavika would have died. He wanted to do that. He wanted to reunite with the people. Like his army and all that. I don't remember much, I'm so sorry. But like, I'm happy he got redeemed. He's one of my favorite characters. He's the best. But like, dude, it was part of the plot.
What a strange decision that was. Again, for a character that was extremely highly anticipated, they just threw in all this tragic backstory for him at the very end of the Natlan Archon quest, and then he fucking died right after that, so none of it mattered at all.
He wanted to do this. He literally chose to do that instead of Mavika. You haven't done the story. Ooh.
It's like they don't understand their own visual cues. A perfect example of this to me is Escoffier. Maybe, again, this might be just me, but even she gave me creepy vibes in the silhouette teaser from the live stream where they revealed upcoming characters for 2025. She has this hair that sticks out, the shape of which largely resembles horns and conveys a sort of like wildness of her personality. She has a devil's pitchfork tail that's positioned up where we can clearly see it, and she's holding a sharp knife up. Like, she looked psycho to me, and I was intrigued. And at least that would have been interesting and different. But no, not only is this design ass, but it's also incredibly misleading. She's just kind of a tsundere who's very particular about her food. I don't understand why they're like this, guys. One of my favorite comments that I've seen about this that just perfectly embodies my feelings on the matter is this from the unofficial Genshin subreddit. They're allergic to morally gray, redeemable, or just bad characters because they don't know how to write anything that isn't a shitty isekai where the main character wins using the power of friendship and his harem. Oh, speaking of harem.
That's not how it goes though. Like, does everything have to be the harem, bro? That's the only thing I absolutely hate about the fandom. All the shipping stuff, but like... just because he's like... I'm talking about the male traveler and also like the female traveler. They. Just because the main character, like the traveler, has defeated like everything almost from all the Archon quests in the power of friendship doesn't mean that it's like such a cringe plotline. I feel like they've done that in a lot of games. And also low-key, it's just... I don't know. I don't have much to say. This video genuinely like makes my brain melt.
From?
Oh no!
It's an anime gacha game. You have to expect fan service. Okay, I know that. But Genshin used to be different from other games and it's...
No. No. Don't you remember Lisa? When you get to Genshin, she is in the Knights of Favonius waiting and immediately calls you cutie. We had that. Do you remember the hype people had when they used her to climb and make those noises? We had characters like that. Remember Yae Miko? She was a character like that. We've had the characters who have done that in the start, and it's just fair to do those at the end, but I understand.
genre, and I mean that genuinely. There used to be a much better ratio.
Yo, wait, what? Oh, Natlan is quite bad, actually. Kinich is the only guy in Natlan. That's crazy. Yeah, but look at Notchcry. We've got, like, 3 guys there. And then we've got, like... That's pretty good. Fontaine. Linnea, Nuvelev, Rochely. We've had, like, 3 guys. But then Natlan was, like, on the way. There was, like, 1 only. But Sumeru was pretty much all guys, almost. There's, like, only 3 females from what I can see. I'm gonna move myself a bit. Yeah. I don't know. They've been pretty fair for us in Not
More
Cry.
female to male 5-star characters than many other gacha games, because so many gacha games are targeted at male audiences who aren't perceived as being interested in the male characters. And there were sexy character outfits, especially on the women, lots of detached sleeves, short skirts, also known as the coochie flap, thigh-high socks,
No.
or boots. But they were nowhere near as bad as they are now. These women are nearly naked.
I need to say about Lauma, as a Finnish person, which Not Cry is inspired of a little bit along the other Slavic countries like Norway, Sweden, you know, everything around us. Lauma is actually based off almost like a naked woman in the mythology, same, like she is supposed to be naked, but again, I do really think they could have given her more clothes, like thinking about the winter and stuff, but again, I'm not really complaining about her design at that matter.
Now. And not only does that make me mad and uncomfortable from a standpoint of being a woman who feels objectified just by looking at these designs, but also from a character design standpoint. I have quite a bit to say about the sharp drop-off in not only the quality of the Genshin character designs, but also in the tastefulness of them. To show you what I mean, we can talk about some early Genshin designs to compare them to more recent ones.
All right.
I think it's important to discuss the physical elements of these characters first before we discuss the fan service elements of their presentation, writing, and personalities, because the physical appearance is the most obvious element, but I promise we will get to the other stuff in due time. Also keep in mind that I'm only going to be talking about female characters because most of the time, the male characters are almost always covered from chin to toe now, aka the fan service is not equal opportunity. One of the first characters I'll mention is Lisa, one of the very first anime fan servicey characters that we're introduced to in the game. She teases the traveler, she calls them cutie, and she's averse to doing any sort of work. Her character design communicates so much about her though, nonetheless.
Yeah.
Her hairstyle, which is very loose and almost looks like it's falling out.
That's the death character hairstyle. But yeah, it also shows us that she's lazy, but that's kind of funny though, like, no, it's not, I really don't want her to die. She's
On one side shows us that lazy element of her personality, Her purple, black, and gold color palette obviously communicates her element of electro, but also a sense of importance, luxuriousness, and magic. Her classically styled witch hat also conveys the latter, of course. Yae Miko is similar to Lisa in terms of teasing personality, although Miko can get a bit more cruel and self-indulgent with it. She has a sharper eye shape than Lisa's gentle, round eyes to indicate this part of her personality. Her outfit is also a stylized version of a traditional Japanese shrine maiden outfit, giving her the required amount of gacha game sexiness while also showing her spiritual importance in Inazuma. Her design being more complicated than the other shrine maidens also signifies that her role is the most important of all of them. Her hair is the color of a sakura blossom, and she has cherry blossom motifs in her clothing, again emphasizing her Japanese inspiration, but also her connection to the sacred sakura of Inazuma, which is deeply connected with her element of electro. Xinyan is one of my favorite Liyuan character designs because it combines traditional elements of Chinese clothing styles with Xinyan's rock aesthetic, so you immediately know by looking at her what she represents. Xinyan wears lots of dark colors, spikes, and fishnet, features common in punk or alternative clothing styles. All of this is accented by red and orange, obviously representing her pyro vision, but also her passionate and fiery personality. Her hair even looks like it's glowing from the inside, which I always thought was such a cool detail. However, Xinyan also has some very subtle nods to her Liyuan culture. So while she mostly represents a counterculture in Liyue, she still maintains cohesion with the other character designs in her region. The last of the older character designs that I'm going to touch on is Navia's, probably my favorite Fontanian design personally. Navia. This design is basically a sluttier version of a traditional
what? Wait, did she say that?
With the other character designs in her region. The last of the older character designs that I'm going to touch on is Navia's, probably my favorite Fontanian design personally. This design is basically a sluttier version of a
Alright. Why would you say that though?
a traditional French aristocratic gown, but it still covers most of her body. Navia's design exudes wealth. It is full of ruffles and jewels. She has these big, billowy curls. She's got this big hat decorated with feathers. She brings along a frilly parasol. She also maintains connection to her hometown of Poisson with these ship wheels on her hips, as well as the canon theming of her elemental burst. Navia is also a very cheerful character, which her yellow color palette communicates. And she also has got these cute sparkles in her eyes that show that. As you can see, these designs are not only pretty tasteful in terms of gacha character designs, but they also do their job. They communicate information about the character, even if you knew nothing about them to begin with. This is what makes a good character design, and it is ironically what many character designs in modern Genshin fail to do. Not only that, but they also get more and more boring and more insulting as time goes on. So let's take a walk through them, shall we? This ought to be fun. One of my least favorite recent characters is Citlali. Again, I know, a fan favorite, but I'm sorry.
I don't think it is a fan favorite though. I don't know. I'm having like mixed feelings about her as a character. I like her and I don't. Like, the one thing I don't like about her is that she's supposed to be like Granny, but she doesn't act that way at all. And she's more like a young girl. And I don't know, I'm also kind of tired of her being in love with a traveler so much, but that's my least of my concern. I don't know, she's not my favorite character, but I understand if you don't like her.
I do not like her. Her design certainly isn't the most offensive of the Natlan ones. I just find her annoying. I do think her English VA is very good at their job and that they do a great job with Citlali's voice, but I really just don't like the character's writing. We will talk about that in a bit. One of the things I dislike about her design, though, is this goddamn leotard that she's wearing. This girl is literally wearing a thong. The sweater thing would go right up her butt crack. I cannot stand stuff like this. Also, side note.
Yeah, but is it though? I saw that she had like shorts. I don't know.
Real quick, I have to pause to talk about the state of Genshin character trailers. Can we talk about how these videos used to be actual showcases of the characters' combat abilities with like little elements of story sprinkled in? Ones that strike this balance well, in my opinion, are Nahida's trailer, Farina's trailer, and Arlecchino's trailer.
Yes.
But now, character trailers are either one,
Yeah, Mavuika, Shilon, and Sitlali, they've got like these mostly, I don't know, they don't show much about what the character is like, their lore, or like, you know, anything that they can do as the character. It helped a lot, you know, you don't have to get the character, you just know what they can do. Like, they did that, I agree, it was amazing. Why did they have to change it?
headache-inducing fan edits with these wildly inappropriate aesthetic choices, like Nefer's trailer or Sitlali's, or two, music videos that make me feel like I'm going to implode from cringing, like Shilonen or Mawika's trailer. At most, these ones show the elemental burst animation. It doesn't tell you anything about what it's like to actually play the character in the video game that I'm supposed to be pulling for them in. Tell me how that's supposed to give me a good impression of these characters. Anyway, back to Sitlali's outfit. It's the same thing with Mawika. Her design features a zipper that goes all the way around between her legs up to her back.
Yeah, they didn't need to do that.
That can't be comfortable, right? Especially riding a motorcycle. And also, what exactly does this design communicate about Mawika other than being a biker? Yeah, I guess she's got sun imagery to represent her Archon hood, but to me, her hair is the only thing about her design that gives me Pyro Archon. But then, you know, all of that still goes away when she fights and her hair lights up. And then we have Veresa. I was really excited about this design when I saw the silhouette in that same teaser we were talking about earlier. Oh my gosh, a girl that's a cow. Oh my god, that's gonna be so cute. I love these braids and the big horns. I mean, I wonder what kind of color palette she'll have. Maybe like browns and greens, something earthy because she's a farm animal. Oh. Yeah. I mean, I guess that works too. Just
What to say I haven't said already. Like, it doesn't need to be browns and greens just because she's inspired of an animal that she's supposed to be. We have a lot of games where we have different characters who are supposed to be inspired by an animal, but they usually turn out to be entirely different looking. And that's somehow been fine, but now when we see Veresa, it isn't. I genuinely really... She's not my favorite character design, but I think she's still really fitting to Natlan. And you don't have to like the design, but that's just how it turned out.
kidding. I hate this design. One of my least favorites in the entire game. I just like... What was the point, dude? Why is she so, like, kawaii themed?
You're playing a gacha game. You're playing a gacha game. Have you not seen kawaii themed characters in anything else except the gacha game? You even took up Cookie Run as an example. There are a lot of characters there who kind of also have this theme. And this is a Chinese game. Pardon you again, they're gonna do this. Also, she's not like kawaii themed. She's just got a lot of like accessories and colors. Again, she's from Natlan, so it's only fair.
She's got hearts and bows everywhere. She wears leg warmers and a cardigan. The skirt is pointless because it's too short to cover her ass. You expect me to believe that this is a lucha libre fighter? I know that luchadoras often dress in similar silhouettes to Veresa's outfit, but they didn't incorporate any elements of the culture that Veresa is inspired by, or the one that her name comes from. There are plenty of lucha libre fighters who incorporate elements of their culture into their costumes. They could have gotten really creative with it, but it's not like it even matters because we never even get to see her fight like a luchadora in the game. It's all just the food bullshit and falling on her ass.
Those moves she does when you use her, they are from lucha libre fighters, aren't they? And she eats because why can't my girl have snacks? What is against her and snacks? Dude, food is good. I love food. And Varesa's my chubby queen. I love her. She's not the favorite design of mine either, but I love that they made her look like that with her body type and all. We have similar body types. I genuinely love her as she is now. And she should do Varesa's story guest. I haven't done that, but I've seen other people watch this video and talk about how they learn more about Varesa in there, so do that.
All the time. It's especially frustrating because the animators have been getting really creative with the normal attack animations lately. They could have gone crazy with her and made her do insane moves. Something like this.
That's Japanese. This game is Chinese.
Like I said earlier,
Whatever.
I was interested too in Escoffier's design based on the silhouette, but I was also very disappointed with this reveal. Not only does this outfit make no sense with regards to breaking up any colors or with this weird heart theming that she has, similar to Varesa. Again, I don't know why they keep doing this, but her outfit is literally just the sexy chef Halloween costume. She's wearing an apron with nothing underneath it. Not only is that insulting, but it's boring and it's lazy. You guys literally couldn't bother to design a shirt for her to wear under this apron. They would just rather put more effort into the detailing on her fucking stockings than design her a shirt. Skirk makes me mad in a similar way because they literally took an already very revealing outfit and made her
Yeah, but the stockings are more higher up. Is it the chest? Oh, it's the chest. I see.
more naked when she made the transition from NPC to playable character. Lauma is one of the ones that makes me the saddest because I actually really love the way that she's written in the narrative. Her voice acting is so beautiful and gentle, and I find her quiet strength to be really, really compelling. It just sucks because she would be perfect if she wasn't almost naked.
That's just part of the folklore she's inspired.
For Lauma, I don't feel hatred like I do for Varesa because Lauma has good writing to make up for her design. I just feel bad for her. Like, oh my god, you poor woman. You're probably so cold and uncomfortable all the time. Actually, she's named after a creature from Baltic folklore that's traditionally depicted as a nude woman. That is literally just another excuse to make a woman with large breasts walk around with a single piece of cloth covering her ass. You can't convince me that Lauma isn't meant to be sexualized by the game when she makes this face while bound by Rayrir. Finally, we have Nefer. Now, I don't really hate this design necessarily. I actually really
Me too.
like the top of it. Her hairstyle is really cool. I love the cape and the vibrant gold and green colors. But it's just another design in this long pattern of just giving up on the legs of these female characters.
Yeah. That's kind of funny, to be honest. They could have added so much more to the legs.
Character designs. Not only does this white skirt completely blend into her insanely pale skin, but they also make no effort to give her some socks or stockings to balance out these colors or make the design more interesting. Like, I really love this fan design that not only gives her a darker skirt, but also some snake pattern thigh-high socks. I really wish that they had leaned into her snake theming more, as a side note. But alas, it's always the same. A super detailed design from the waist up and absolutely nothing except maybe a thigh garter on the legs. Again, Columbina falls into this too. She wears this super detailed tiny dress, one that's so short it makes her legs look obscenely long like a spider. And then she doesn't even wear shoes, just these fuck-ass water orb heels because they couldn't bear to let a woman walk flat.
That's kind of horrible as a cosplayer to do that, by the way. But yeah, I agree. But when you actually have her as a character, she will walk
on her
barefoot.
feet. And the way that these women are drawn sometimes is so stupid too. Even the character designs that I consider to be better than these suffer from the fan service. Even though I wish her skirt was longer to add some variety to the designs, I really like Mizuki's design, but she literally shows her butt to the camera during her burst and in her official art. In fact, Hoyo only draws these characters in impossible poses more and more for the sake of making them more goonable. Literally, Mizuki is posed so you can somehow see her underboob and butt at the same time. They do the same thing with Mawika. Her back
Yeah, but she's a biker. She's riding a motorcycle. Isn't that how you...
is arched so heavily just so that they can display both her cleavage and her ass. Varesa's also the same, plus she's making
I, by the way, made that pose and it didn't hurt at all. Whatever.
that face like, oh, you caught me and I have food all over my face. Oh no. Oh my god. I hated saying that out loud. And see, Lali is literally squishing her chest so heavily with what? a stuffed animal, a pillow. That is not how this part of the
You are a female. That is exactly how this works. I literally test this like another day after I watched this video, and that's how it works. Boobs work that way. Why do I explain this?
body works. This is only one of the anime fan service tropes that Genshin has increasingly leaned into over time. As the game progresses, we only get more and more characters that fit the tsundere character type. Oh my god. It's over, guys. We only get more and more characters that fit the tsundere character type. Oh my god, I can't fucking say this. As the game progresses, we only get more and more characters that fit the tsundere character type, which I personally find annoying. Citlali and Sandrone are the biggest examples of this, but I would
Yeah, but is Sandrone though? She's not like that to the Traveler. I mean, she acts that way, but like.
also argue that Escoffier falls into this trope sometimes. Somewhat related is the increasing number of characters who have very obvious crushes or similar devotion to the Traveler, all of whom seem to be women, ironically. Ayaka.
Xiao. Wanderer. Thoma. Kazu. I don't know. Like, we've done a lot with the men too, but yeah, a lot with the women. I get that. But again, Ayaka wasn't exactly having a crush. She just never had like actual friend. So we hanged out with her a lot and spent a lot of time with her to be friends with her. But yeah, I kind of wished we had more things with the main characters too, especially when I'm a woman and I play as Lumine. That would be so
That was a
fun.
big one early on, but since then we've had Mizuki blushing around the Traveler and the game purposefully putting her into situations in which we're meant to like cutely embarrass her. It's clearly meant to have a teasing romantic tone to it. Similarly, Citlali has a big crush on the Traveler, made evident by being portrayed like this in her Valentine's Day art, and by all the times the game has given us very convenient plot-related ways to read each other's thoughts. Dude, this shit is painful to play. And then most
Isn't that also in Sumeru, because we visit the dreams and Nahida is also in our mind in a way. Definitely not saying that I ship them. No. But like, we've had similar things like that. But of course not with like shipping characters, but you know, like being in someone's mind or becoming somebody like in Sumeru. I don't know.
recently we've had Columbina, who, again, has only one true friend in the Traveler.
Because she's isolated herself. She trusts us. Oh.
And she cutely hides behind you, and you get to feed her.
You said those
Again,
things
these are all
before.
very romance-coded behaviors.
But you can do that to a friend too.
The Traveler is literally represented as her savior and dance partner in her trailer. It is a pattern at this point. Can we please let women have more interesting relationships with the main character than being their shy waifu all the time? And again, this fan service is never equal opportunity. The male characters never get to have interactions or relationships like this with the player. Why not? We also have character-specific tropes. Veresa, I'm getting to you now. She was tailor-made for the feeder fetish. I kid you not, in one of her trailers,
What? What do you mean? Feeder fetish? Let's just get this.
animate food going into her stomach, and her stomach, like, jiggles and stuff, and
Yeah,
oh my
I
god.
don't know what to feel.
It is genuinely one of the most sickening and uncomfortable things I have seen
Yeah, they didn't really need to do that, but like, I guess they just want to showcase what would fit her
coming
character.
out of this company. Her entire thing is eating comically large amounts of food. She has nothing else that matters to her character, to her personality, or anything about her. It's not like this would necessarily be bad on its own, but guys, she is literally a cow. This character is extremely insulting, and I hate her. And that's not even mentioning how she literally fights.
Yeah, but like, she's cute as a cow, and it doesn't always mean that, you know?
By falling on her ass. When you are playing her, she will fall and her ass will be facing the camera for multiple seconds before she gets up. And your eye is naturally drawn there because of her bright pink tail against her black skirt. And then when she gets up, she'll like dust herself off and be like, "Owie, that hurt! Shut up!" And then we've got Nefer and her whole like clones thing. And the clones are like her servants, and she poses with them in sexually charged ways. Like she's holding this one's face and...
Self-love. Self-love.
This one is laying in her lap. Like, I don't have to like spell out the way that this is incredibly fetishistic, right? I mean, Nefer literally does the stripper crawl across the table toward the camera in her trailer. She's meant to give femdom. And I mean, like, the clones basically serve no purpose to her theming as a character. I think they could have taken them out of her whole thing and it wouldn't have made a difference to her kit or to her gimmicks. They literally only did it because they knew people would drool over it. Editing Aurelia here. In the process of making this video, Linnea has been released and...
Alright, we're getting into this part now. The worst part, in my opinion. This is almost over, but... this is so bad.
I just have to interject to say, what the fuck were they thinking with this character? I feel like a crazy person because I feel like I'm the only one who doesn't think she's adorable and in fact recognizes her for the creepy freak that she is. First of all, she clearly has absolutely no respect for living things that are not traditionally human. She keeps asking to touch and pet the Melusines as if they are not whole people.
She is a fae. If you've done the Notchcry quest, you know that they've never seen different species before. She's never seen Melusines before, and of course she's curious about them. She's literally a biologist. You can't think they're cute because they look like children. They aren't children though, and I don't think she would have any bad intent towards them at all. She would just want to know like about them and like pet them and stuff. That's nothing weird. Dude, if I were in Genshin world, I'd absolutely want to pet them. Like, I wouldn't be anyone like weird or something, but they'd be so adorable. And Linnea is not what she says that she is. Do the story quest. I haven't done it either, but I just know that you learn more about her. And she's amazing character. She literally intrigues me a lot.
It's especially creepy because the Melusines are made to look like children. Having an adult character who is high-key obsessed with them and can't treat them as the people they...
Yeah, but... I don't think she's obsessed. She's just never seen them before.
Was a fucked up move on Hoyo's part. They literally make a point to emphasize the humanity of the Melusines and how they had to fight to be accepted in Fontanian society. And now we have a playable character who we are supposed to think is cute, harassing them and treating them as though they are pets. It's disgusting. Her trailer is sickening for the same reason. She fantasizes about being rubbed up on by Siegeweed.
She likes cuddles. She wants cuddles. Like, that's nothing weird. She just wants huggies, cuddles. And she wants to study different wildlife and is curious about a lot of things. It's normal for someone who's never seen them before or is a fae.
Who, again, looks like a child. And Kirida, along with other Melusines and Nekomata. It reads as extremely fetishistic to me, which is a problem when the people that she's fantasizing about look like children. She chases these people around and doesn't seem to let up after being told multiple times to back off. There are multiple promotional materials in which she asks to touch a Melusine, which makes me think that it's happened more than once or twice. I mean, at least her character quest wasn't as bad. I won't spoil.
Wait, you did it? Yo.
It obviously because I said I wouldn't talk about
Aha. So she won't spoil it because then it would absolutely ruin her thoughts on Linnea. Because the quest would be misleading, because it would actually not be what you think that Linnea is. How interesting. You won't talk about the quests or lore because you don't know it, but then you have played Linnea's story quest and then still think that she's a weirdo.
Content past Luna 5, but I still don't find this character appealing or compelling at all, as I feel like I've made it very clear. She doesn't even have an interesting design to make up for it. She's literally
the colors, nothing else.
Just a copy-paste of Charlotte. Even the wish art is the same. I haven't felt such a burning hatred for a character in a long time. Hoyoverse had the opportunity to portray Linnea as a character with a disability that made it difficult for her to fit in, because—
No. Where is this from? Medical explanation. She literally just brings up random things here. I don't know, like, just because she's curious about wildlife and biologists doesn't mean that she would need to be disabled in a way. But I think that Linnea does give up that vibe in some ways, but again, if she does, then what you're saying about her is also affecting the actual humans who have that type of, like, you know, like, issues, you know, then you're also talking that they are creeps. So be careful.
That was largely the reason the myth of changelings arose in the first place. The fairies were thought to swap their fae children for a human child, which was how several mythologies explained neurodivergence in children. Instead of portraying a really heartwarming story about a character who's autism-coded, we instead get a freak who can't stop harassing anyone with non-human features. Ironic, considering how they want to portray her as an outcast who had no friends because she was a fae who looked—
Yeah, you literally said that. She was an outcast, didn't have any friends. She's curious about different species. There you go. Come on, you're learning something, but you still are not making the exact point here. You hate her? That's fine. You don't have to like her, but calling her a creep is not right when she clearly isn't. And saying that she would have been perfect if they would have done her differently is again the same thing with Columbina. And you're also implying to people who might relate to Linnea in a way that they are creeps. What?
Different. Also, can we talk about how her lore makes no sense because the Saritsa and the Fatui are meant to be hunting down fae and eradicating them?
I thought you did the story. What is going on?
Hence why Flynn's hides his identity. But it's just completely fine that Linnea is outwardly a fae, perhaps even more obviously so than Flynn's because she doesn't cover the wings on her head or her crystal markings. Whatever. I really hope people open their eyes to how terrible
No, I won't, because she
this character is. Sorry if you feel kinship with her. She is not cute. She is not funny.
She is cute, she's funny, and you are wrong, even though you did her story, which I don't believe for a reason.
She has no appealing character traits, and there are far better characters out there whose stories are about yearning.
Is she again implying to, I wish Genshin was better when it was back in the day? We had our issues even then, and I think she's a really lovable character. You don't have to like her, I understand. You can hate her with all the hatred you have in your heart, but calling her creep? No.
For acceptance. Anyway, back to the video. Before we move on to the last part, I feel the need to debunk something I've heard both in this fandom and in other fandoms with regards to sexualized character designs. She should be able to wear whatever she wants. It's feminist to let women express themselves how they want. Listen, I choose to believe that this argument isn't made in bad faith. It's more like people who say this have good intentions, but they don't understand what it is that they're actually saying. Yes, it's
Like
true
you.
that women in real life should be able to choose what they wear. If they want to wear revealing clothing, that is completely their choice. However, these women are not real and do not have.
Yeah, but again, Lauma, as the example, is inspired by the mythology. And you don't have to like the characters, but the Hoyoverse does them how they want. If you miss the old characters, you don't have to play the new quests, like you clearly haven't. You don't have to like these new characters. You have to quit Genshin if this is all too much for you. But do not go on calling these characters what they definitely aren't, just because you don't like the character designs or the personalities. When you've clearly done Linnea's story, you still calling her those things is definitely weird to me, because clearly I don't think you have.
The autonomy that we do. They are purposefully manufactured to be bait for the male gaze. They are animated in revealing outfits and drawn in uncomfortable poses and written into compromising situations on purpose. These developers have control over how these women are portrayed, and they choose to portray them increasingly as vessels for hypersexualization, fetishization, and fan service. That is not
That is how
feminist.
Genshin's
That's not
be.
to say that Hoyoverse doesn't do this in their other games. Zenless Zone Zero comes to mind, but to me, at least, that game is honest about what it is, and it has been since the beginning. Boob physics and
Hasn't Genshin too? Like, you literally talked about Lisa. She genuinely starts that way. When you get to Genshin, she's one of the characters you first see. And Genshin also has those magical physics and splash art and the lore also. Like, it's also being quite honest what kind of game it is. Of course it's became more, but
maid outfits and schoolgirl uniforms and all. At least over there, the fan service is a little more equally spread across the male and female
Yeah, I feel
characters.
like
Genshin Impact
basically
still
more
pretends that
male.
it's this grand world of exploration.
you pretend. You missed the old Genshin, but they also had issues there. I'm like a new Genshin player, so I don't know much, but I'm pretty sure it has its bad things back then too. So
It was 4 years ago, while its writing and characters suffer. Expect visual upgrades like you've never seen before, all while we refuse to visually upgrade older characters because
Yeah.
who gives a shit?
yeah, I feel like that kind of sucks, but also, do you know how much it costs to actually go back and do all of the old characters? There's a lot of them, and I feel like it's kind of unique to see how they used to be, and how Genshin is just getting better and better with character designs. I don't know, it's pretty cool, I
About
think.
them, right? Or as we increase the shill for pay-to-win players, or for Miliastro Wonderland, which no one fucking asked for and no one cares about, and for hyper-specific gameplay mechanics that are incredibly team-limiting and rely on 2 or 3 limited characters to actually function, all while we continually offer less and less new map areas and free wishes each patch. I could go on forever about the state of this
Yeah.
fucking game and how Hoyoverse doesn't I think that's actually enough give of that for a now. shit about their player. Let's move on.
Yeah, it is.
After all this complaining, people are probably thinking, it sounds like this game is causing you lots of undue stress. Maybe you should just quit and play something else. Look,
You
maybe
take a
you don't get
break.
what it feels like to invest 5 years of your life into a game like this.
I haven't played Genshin for that long, but I've already gotten pretty attached, so I definitely understand that you are watching an evolution of a game. That really changes a lot. The lore is different, characters are different, people don't focus on the lore that much anymore, or how beautiful the game actually is, mostly the shipping part, but I do know I've played a lot of games over years, and I do get what it feels like, and I know it's sometimes really sad, but I think the good thing is that those things will always stay in the game. You have your memories, you can always visit those places, you can have the same characters, you don't have to use the new ones. As you told me, you haven't pulled for any Natlan characters, you don't have to pull for any character. And also, for Genshin, those things will always be there. And I think it's just really nice to see how it improves the game, and how they've done really much good and better in the game. Like the Fontania Festival, the animations were absolutely gorgeous, so you can just say that they've gotten better.
With ever-expanding lore and new characters being introduced all the time. I guess maybe I didn't know what I was getting myself into at the time, back in 1.0 when I first started out. It sucks to invest so much of your time into a game only for it to let you down. I'm not going to pretend that Genshin was perfect back then. There are so many weird, cop-outs that Hoyo pulls so that they can have sensitive themes in their games but not actually have them. Like Bennett saying that he has multiple dads, only for you to realize that it's because he's been raised by many older men in the Adventurers Guild, not because he has queer parents. But the problems have only gotten worse with time. There are even more cop-outs, like Flynn's being a victim of suicidal ideation, but he actually just went sleepy for a really long time. Or like Nicole, who is mute in name only. She just talks in people's heads using her magic so Hoyo can pretend that they have a character with a disability. Or like Nefer, experiencing racism at the hands of the academia while having the palest skin
I don't think they ever made Nicole to be a character like that. It's like the same with Linnea. They just made her look like, that she would be, but she's not really. She just has this magic, and never having pale skin and getting racism. Well, people with pale skin also get that a lot. And if you are in a place where most of the people have darker skin and you're the only one with pale, I'm pretty sure that's just a valid thing you would get. But I don't know, really. I'm pretty lost what she's talking about again.
Possibly imagine. Regarding gameplay, as I said, the shill for current characters has only gotten worse with time, with boss enemies made specifically to be defeated by certain limited characters. Fontaine was the first region to introduce region-specific battle mechanics, Bond of Life, and Pneumosia, but it wasn't so completely baked into the combat like Night Soul or Lunar Reactions are. You didn't need Bond of Life or Pneumosia to be anything in the game, but the Lord of Eroded Primal Fire weekly boss requires a character who can apply Night Soul damage. The Game Before the Gate is built for quick application of the Frozen reaction, which is the specialty of Skirk and Escoffier. It's unfair to people who aren't looking to pull every single character, like me, because I only pull characters I like, or free-to-play people who aren't looking to spend what could easily be hundreds of dollars on filling out their 5-star roster. Also like me, because I don't have that kind of disposable income. Seeing Flynn's in that Nodcry teaser was a lifesaver for me. Holy shit, a beautiful 5-star man with a mysterious backstory who's actually part of the meta, and oh my god, Lowen too. That face card is diabolical. It's been so long since I've been excited about characters like this.
It's so funny how she talks to male characters like this, but yeah, you know what? Freak. Linnea is a creep. She is the worst character of all time. But Lowen, oh, that face card is diabolical. Meanwhile, he likes to poison his teammates.
Most of the time now, I'm just like, well, Nicole's not my favorite, but I guess I'll pull for her in the future if I have no other characters I want. Or, well, Lauma's design is pretty terrible, but I like her personality a lot. I guess I could get her if I have enough extra Primo Gems. So yeah, that's a lot of flaws. But guess what, guys? Hoyoverse fucking got me. Almost 6 years ago now, Hoyoverse wormed its way into my brain and put my mind in a Genshin Impact-shaped chokehold.
Yeah, but again, Genshin came out when COVID was around. We didn't have that much back then. So that's why we also, why am I talking about we? I didn't play Genshin back then, I just heard about it. But, you guys played it when the pandemic was on and you barely could go anywhere. So you managed to get into the lore more. And, there was no rush into anything. So you might have memories like that also from there. And, I'm happy that it captured your heart, and that you have memories like this. It's amazing, but hating on characters is not, you don't have to like the character, but saying that they are something they're not is just absolutely insane, especially if you don't
At this
start
point, I have so many mixed emotions about this game and its fan base. I love the beautiful fan art I see every day. I love the sense of humor that so many of these fans have. I love some of these characters so much, and thinking about them is so much fun. But sometimes I feel like the only sane person in any given comment section on the internet. Like, I'm the only person who sees this game for what it has become. People just refuse to be.
I don't know again about this, like, you're one of the people who've played it in the beginning, but I genuinely don't think that, like, this game has changed from what it was. I guess some of the characters, yeah, but, like, it's always been that way, and you've just got stuck in the past. You have good memories, and you want them back. You want the game what it was, as it was. But we are moving forward. That was 6 years ago. Genshin's getting better naturally.
Critical of this game despite enjoying it and knowing what it could be. It's a fandom and a community that I sometimes feel like I don't belong to. Like I should have left it a long time ago, and yet I can't stop playing it. Maybe it's an addiction, or maybe it's FOMO thinking about the upcoming characters I want to get in the future. Maybe I find
it could also be because the story is not yet finished and you want to see where Genshin's going, especially when Linnea is coming soon.
the gameplay engaging, but ultimately, I think for me, it comes down to wanting to see where this story ends up, even though it continues to disappoint me the more the time goes on. I think Genshin set up a very strong emotional core with the missing sibling, and they strung us along just enough that I was invested, giving us hints of the sibling only a little at a time, all culminating in a quest called Bedtime Story a couple years ago, which is one of the only Genshin quests that's ever made me cry. I want to see the Traveler reunited with their twin at the end of this journey. I want to explore Snezhnaya and Conria. Even though Alice's design ended up being a little copy-paste, I adore her and I want to pull her and put her in a team with Klee and Durin. I want to see Dainsleif become playable and hopefully introduce a new element into the gameplay. Who knows? Maybe Genshin will continue to disappoint me. Maybe there are no good villains left to meet, and maybe a playable woman in a freezing cold climate will be wearing a bikini. I'm still gonna be pissed about that. But it's quests like Durin's story quest, a beautiful tale of the devotion of motherhood and learning to make your own way in life, that give me very cautious optimism. I know that Hoyo is capable of amazing storytelling. That's what makes it so frustrating every time this game lets me down. But Hoyo, you've still got me for a while. Nice going, you made me addicted to your game, but the good stuff is what makes me want to stick around for a while. Even if it's only to watch my favorite little guys run around in my screen.
Alright, we finished. I genuinely wouldn't believe we've done that, but she had some valid, opinions right there. Had her own opinions of characters, designs, lore, how Genshin's changed. I think it still went more into why you should hate these characters, why you should not like these characters, and stuff like that, a bit more than the actual games, like mechanisms she was talking about at the start, with all the domains and trailers and stuff. But again, I'm not someone who would go as far as sending death threats to her, because that is genuinely just ridiculous and terrible. Like, there is a human being behind there, and even if her opinions on certain characters, Linnea, Columbina, Veresa, would be absolutely messy and definitely not something which is matching the character at all, I would still not do that, because that is definitely insane and not something you should do. But yeah, I reacted to this video a bit late because I already saw it like three weeks ago, but I wanted to still kind of give my opinions on some of these things, even though I also kind of forgot a few things about the lore, but I still think that even if some of her claims kind of quietly made me mad, it might not have shown that much as I was planning to, but I don't want to get mad over pixels. Even if some of her takes were absolutely ridiculous and awful, she had some valid criticism there too. But Genshin is hard to criticism, because there is a lot of things which we don't know about the game yet, because Snezhnaya, There's a lot of things we don't know. What characters could come back, you know? What if Signora actually returns? What if Capitano was never dead in the first place? What a weird thing to say, but yeah. Like, we don't know yet. And a lot of things could happen to their characters, we also know. So that was the video Candybug made, and the video which has never left my mind for all the past few weeks. So don't go send any hate for her. You don't have to like what she did. You don't have to like the claims she did of the characters, but she's a human being too. Do not do this. It's stupid, ridiculous, and absolutely horrendous to see that she's getting so much hate. And the video she made into this video, the second video where she claimed a few things about this video, where she also sent the pictures of her death threats people sent her, is absolutely disgusting. And people like that do exist apparently, and it is terrible. Like, as much as I love some characters she actually criticized, I would never go that far. Thank you so much for watching this. Bye.